Welcome to the channel, folks. Clunkers and Classics. I already finished all the work I was going to do on this video. I forgot to kind of do an intro. So, yeah, welcome to the channel. And last few episodes, we got the engine fitted in there and running last video. So now I'm kind of messing with the wiring and fuel system, figuring out what I want to do with it. But we're gonna tackle the Driveshaft dilemma, Fiasco. And I got a new cold air intake system that's underneath this cover, because I already did it. Okay, we're doing that this video. And then we're gonna take it for a ride in my Le Mans here. Had it all washed up the other day, ready to go for a cruise, and it run out of gas, or I thought it did. But anyway, we'll take it for a ride in that. Okay, let's get to work. Okay, guys, you see the drive shaft, how it's that much longer, needs to be shortened. Now, I live near Durant, is the nearest town, and went to a few mechanic shops, and they were like, I don't think anybody shortens and balances drive shafts anymore. All the old timers that did that are all dead now. Then I found one shop that says, oh, try this old retired guy. He does it out of his house, but he can't balance them, but he can cut them, got a lathe and all that. So I went by there and talked to him, and he told me to stick the drive shaft in all the way to the transmission, then measure from center of the U-joint to the center of the U-joint back there. So I just did, and it's 57.5. Okay, and he said it'd take about a day, be about 50 bucks. But I haven't showed him yet. But if it needs to be taken too much off, see how wide this is, and then it goes in smaller. You know, he can't cut it back here, so he said he might have to cut them on both ends. You know, cut a couple inches off this end, a couple inches off the other end. So we'll see. He also says he does TIG welding. He's been repairing some aluminum rims and stuff. So I got to thinking. I went over it a little bit in my last video of what I was going to do about the fuel system. But I didn't elaborate on it because, you know, it was getting to be a long video. So here's what I'm thinking. We got the truck tank here. Of course, I can't put that in, it's too big. But I'd like to use the original fuel lines, kinda, and the fuel pump and the wiring to it. I'm fixing to take this off and see how long it is. I'm pretty sure it goes almost to the bottom, down here. So what I was thinking of was building a little tank. And now I'll have this guy do it. I don't have a TIG welder. I don't want to buy one. I just wouldn't use it very much. So here's what I'm thinking. Unless I can find one on eBay that's about the same size as I need. Okay, this is my storage box here. This is the fuel tank here. It's up in the side of this quarter panel. Okay, that's all cleaned out. I think I got the sending unit working. Okay, these are my storage boxes here. This was a truck bed box that I cut in half. So it's got the space in between here. So I'm fixing to measure. If I can build a box that can fit that fuel pump, and they drop down, that'll fit in between here. Build two braces or a couple of braces and mount it on the bottom of this. And I know it won't be very much, probably, you know, 5 gallons or whatever, but I was gonna use the fuel line. I got a new fuel line on this gas tank, and it goes here into the original steel line all the way to the front. So I was thinking of putting a fuel pump on the end of this and pumping the fuel into this little tank. And that would be it. Just fill it up 5 gallons at a time or whatever from this tank here is I believe 20 gallons. You fill that up and then pump the fuel into the new little tank. Now that's what I'm thinking. I may not. I may just use a fuel pump from this tank and route it up there, but I don't know. If this guy can build me a cheap one, I may do that. So I just thought I'd elaborate on that a little bit more. I kind of mentioned it in my last video, but okay. So let me get this drive shaft out, and we're gonna bring it to him in the morning, and then I'm gonna measure this this area right here, measure the fuel pump in here, and see if we can work on something. I don't want it too low. I don't want it real low, but if it's, you know, inches or so, that'd be okay. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, I took the fuel pump out. This is it here. It can extend down a couple inches like that. But even extended down, it's 12 inches. 12 inches. I thought I left a... This is only 6 inches here. So 12 inches will be down to here. I think that's going to be too low. The only other way to do it is to put it up in behind here. "12 inches would be down to here. We need 1.5 inches at the top, and then probably give it another inch, about 2 inches. So we can put a tank back here, even a small one. But we put it all the way back there. I think we're going to have to extend the gas lines, because we got to have these gas lines here, plastic ones that clip into the metal ones. I'd probably extend the metal ones, be easier than doing the plastic ones. So I don't know. Anyway, it's something to think about. I'm going to look online, see if eBay has a already made tank that'll fit up in there. I don't think they do, but if not, I may talk to that old guy tomorrow and see if he can make one. We may do that. And the other option is just to put a fuel pump on this one, but I have no return lines. There's just the one line going to the, would go to the carburetor. There's no vent line, there's no return line. That's why I kind of wanted to use all these. Can even use the vent line. But I don't think them lines are going to be long enough to reach all the way back there. So anyway, it's something to think about. I got them two options. And then this fuel pump here, see, is mentioned in the last video, they used to be like 45 bucks on eBay. So, and I know if you go to AutoZone or O'Reilly's, they'll screw you for like 250 bucks. So it's nuts. I've bought several of these for cheap cars, GM cars for 40. Some of them were 38 bucks. Now it's been a couple of years, and like I'd buy old junk Grand Am or something like that, or something that needed a fuel pump, 38 bucks shipped on eBay. But they're 250 at AutoZone. They just screw you. So that's one of the reasons I kind of wanted to keep this fuel pump, and I keep the wiring. I got the fuel gauge there too. and it's all on the dash. So you'd have a fuel gauge for whatever, 5 gallons, but then if it gets low, you just click on your, I'll put an auxiliary fuel pump for the big tank and fill up the little 5-gallon tank type thing. So I don't know, that's my options. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay guys, here's the drive shaft out of the Nomad, which is about 15 inches too long. So I brought it down to this old timer to get it shortened. But as you can see here, it's on both ends. It's wide here, then it tapers off. And he has to cut it here and shorten it. Now if he has enough room, he can only go to about here. If he has enough room on both sides, he can do it. But it's too long. It needed like 7 inches on each side, and this is only 6, so it'd be up to here. And he can't cut a section out of here. Like I said, he has to do it on the end. So he told me to go to the junkyard and see if I can find a drive shaft, and he said a Ford one will work. He said they make U-joints, Napa does, you know, one end Ford, one end GM type thing. So I went to the local wrecking yard. Luckily they had a bunch off. He had a GM one that would have worked, that could have shortened it down a couple inches, maybe 2-3 inches, and it would have worked. But none of these were marked what they were for. He just guessed that it was a 2-wheel drive Chevy pickup from the 90s, and they had the U-joints that were, you know, they had to be heated up to take them out, or whatever there is, the plastic in there. Okay, so then he had this one. Well, the GM one was inside. This one's been sitting outside. So these U-joints are probably going to be a pain in the ass to get out. So measured this one from center to center U-joint to center U-joint, and it was just what I needed. See, what the old timer had told me was measure from the center to U-joint, stick this all the way in the transmission, measure from the center to the center of not the drive shaft, but the center of the rear end. You put the little deal in there to hold the U-joint. You measure right in the center of that to the center of this. Well, this is in the transmission all the way. So it was 57.5, and then he would deduct an inch, so that has about an inch of play before it goes in there. So it's 56.5 is what this one measured. So I brought this to him, and he said, oh, he says that, well, that's it. We won't have to cut that, but you'll need the U-joints. Of course, this end will be Ford, but this end to your rear end is going to have to be, you know, a GM one. He said Napa makes them. He actually called up to Napa, which is only about a block away from where he was at, and told him I needed that one. And then, okay, this is the original truck transmission from the Silverado, and if you notice, this is a couple inches longer than the Nomad one, but they both slide in. Come on, get out of there. So either one will work. So I said, well, if we're going to do that, I said, how about I take the original drive shaft yoke from the Silverado and put it on the Ford. She said, well, that will require a different U-joint. So, and Napa makes that too. So we're going to take this yoke here and put it on the Ford on that end, and then a different U-joint here to bolt to the rear end. If you can follow along, it's a little bit. So these are the two. See, one is going to be for the Ford, say this long, and then this one's going to be about an inch shorter for the GM. Now, if I was to use this yoke and put it on there, then I get two of these. But since I'm putting this one on, I'll get one of these and one of these. And this one is actually the same on both ends, because this length of this from the Silverado is the same as the Ford, but the Ford has 2 clips on the outside, and then this one has clips on the inside. So that's what this U-joint is. Has 2 clips on the outside for the Ford, and then 2 on the inside for this yoke. Y'all follow along? So I asked him, I said, well, listen, you know, I'll pay you to do it, put the U-joints in. Oh, I'm going to be busy all for the next week. They got me all welding aluminum rims. Because, you know, I felt bad that he didn't have to shorten it. So I thought, you know, pay him something to do the U-joint. So I guess he was too busy. So I'm fixing to do right now. We're fixing to do all this. Now, since they make these U-joints, I gotta be careful and make sure. See, one's a UJ353 and this one's a UJ355. And I believe that's, and I'll make sure, but I think that's for the back and that's for the front. So I'm gonna record them and keep them in the records in case I ever need a U-joint. But if I ever go on a long trip, you know, drag and drive event or something like that, I'm gonna order a couple of these and keep them as spares in my little toolbox there, just in case that I can't find them. There's no Napa around. I don't know what AutoZone's numbers are or whatever. These were 47 bucks. I think one was 23 and one was 20 something. They're a little bit different prices. The junkyard charged me 75 bucks for this drive shaft. A little high. I was, you know, thinking more like 50, but anyway. So yeah, it's 75 plus 47. That's what I got in the drive shaft Fiasco, plus my labor. Well, then I can return this U-joint. This is one I bought. I hadn't changed that over for the yoke, but I got a new one on the end there. Can't return that, but I can return this one. But these were from AutoZone. They weren't very much. $11.99, or I don't know what they were. Something. So yeah, I got one U-joint tied up in this Fiasco here. So anyway, and then the old timer was only going to charge me 50 bucks to shorten it and weld it up. So don't have to pay the 50, but I had to pay the 75 and the 47. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Be kind of boring, me setting up a tripod and y'all watch me do it. I'll as usual, I'll show you at the end of when I'm done, what it took. It's gonna be a bit of a pain in the ass getting banging these things out of there, but anyway, I'll be back. Okay, guys, got the U-joints in. This is the front yoke, and these two ends here got the clips on the outside, and then these two here got the clips on the inside. So that's what that U-joint was. Same size here and here, but just different way the clips go in. Who knew they made them type of U-joints? Okay, this is for the rear. Is in the rear yoke, rear end, and these take the outside clips, just like the factory Ford, but this end here is shorter than this, so this fits the rear end on this perfectly. So I'm fixing to put it in there, and we need to be in here somewhere, inch to an inch and a half. Now this is the yoke from the original Silverado. The one for the '68 Nomad was about this big and would have worked, but I figured, well, we're doing all this, might as well put the right yoke in there. So it should be about 1 inch from the end. We're fixing to find out. So I'm gonna mount it in there. Not gonna bolt it, just gonna snug it up to the, I got the new clamps and bolts that came with the pinion seal thing there that I bought a while back. It's in a video a while back. I'm gonna put the clamps on there, just kind of snug it up, make sure it's in there all the way, and see how much distance we got. Then I'm gonna pull it back out. If it fits all right, everything goes good, I'll show you here in a minute once I stick it in there. We're gonna sand this down and pour 15 it, let that dry, and then put it in there permanently. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay guys, it's actually got a little bit farther than I'd like, but I think that'll work. And I just kind of got it sitting up there. There's the new bolts and clamps. I may need the adjustable upper control arms. I may order them so I could get that rear end more of an angle that way. Not completely necessary, but I think I'd rather do that. Okay, I'm gonna mark that with masking tape to see how far that goes in there. I think it'll be okay. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, this is how much is in there. Threaded in there, that's how much is out. I think that's just really just about perfect. Because if you, this is the original one, which is, let's see. The whole thing's only that long. See? So it's like that. It's like this whole thing is in there. So yeah, that's perfect. It's got enough slop here. I was kind of worried that it'd be too close. That way, if you know, you go over, you know, a big bump or whatever, it would hit here and ruin something. So I think that's just about perfect right there. Okay, I'm going to sand this down with some Mead grit, like this here. Scuff her down real good. Don't have to wire wheel it, don't have to grind it, nothing like that. Just scuff it down real good. And I'm going to brush some Pour 15 on there, some black Pour 15, like it's on the underneath of the car. And then we'll bolt it in there. Okay, I'll be back. Okay guys, got her painted. Pour 15. Let it dry. It should dry. It's about noon or so now, so later on in the day I'll set it out in the sun and get that on later today. Okay, I got the aftermarket cold air intake deal. Here's the instructions. I mean, it's pretty easy, but I just want to make sure we get that mass airflow sensor in the right spot. Okay, so this is what it all comes with. This is a heat deflector shield type stuff. It's not going to fit in the Chevelle. What we're replacing is we're replacing all this. See, it comes down and it's got a baffle going down here and coming across in this big old box. So I think we just got to take the mass airflow or map sensor, whatever the hell it is called, and put that on the new one. Okay, so oh, it's got a little brace thing there too. So it's just gonna go in. I don't know. we'll figure it out, something like that. And it's got an elbow and the reusable, rewashable filter, clamps. We won't be using them right now. We're gonna have to wait till we get the fender and the inner fender well on before we customize this shield and these little mounting brackets and everything. But for now, we can at least get the main part of it on there. Okay, so I'll be doing that, and I will be back later. Okay, guys, that's it there. Reuse the old mass airflow sensor. Plug that in. I didn't like this. This isn't very tight against the mass airflow sensor. That's as tight as it goes. I had to reuse the old seal, so I don't know. I'll have to do something about that, I think. But other than that, it looks good as long as it runs and doesn't I had something. As long as it runs good, doesn't start sputtering and all that stuff. So the shield was in here somewhere. We'll just have to wait to get all that, but it's all kind of adjustable. And you know, I could always cut it down if I need to move it in, or you know, anything like that. Got some brackets here where, you know, but yeah, once the car's together, we can get that sorted out. We got it in there like that and run it just to make sure it runs and doesn't affect anything. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, guys, forgot to mention this whole unit here was $57. Shipped, taxes, everything. Okay, I got the drive shaft in. In there, I'll paint it up. Now, rear end needs to be tilted up for that drive shaft to line up, and it's not because of the transmission or anything. I don't know why, but my '69 Chevelle was the same way after I put it together. And I'll have to buy the upper adjustable control arms there, and then that'll tilt that rear end up, and we'll get that angle perfect. So yeah, it's another thing I'll have to buy. I think they're 100 and something bucks. Forget what they were, 138 or something when I did the Chevelle. I'll see what they are now. Okay, so that'll wrap that up. I guess that's it for this video. Got a couple little jobs done. I'll let you know on the gas tank what I figure out, I guess, next video. Not exactly sure what to do. I may buy a whole tank to fit in that whole rear section. But anyway, I guess that's it. And got some footage of the Le Mans. Went on a little cruise there today, so I'll put that in there. So thanks everybody for watching. We'll see y'all next video, if you're not going to watch the Le Mans drive. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time. Going out for a little cruise in the 70 Le Mans Sport. My co-pilot. I put about 5 gallons of gas in this thing about a couple of months ago. And I went to drive it the other day. Had it running for 5-10 minutes while I washed it off, and it ran out of gas. So I guess it evaporated out. I don't think there's any gas leaks. So if you got an old car with gas in it that not properly ventilated, like I think this thing just got a vented gas cap. So with all this hot weather, it just evaporates out. And so anyway, I just put another 5 gallons in there, and gonna go out for breakfast. Just stop by a gas station and I think it's less than $3 a gallon now. Had about 10 gallons of gas in it, and just driving for about a little 20 mile cruise. So I had a little handle on my camera, and a little tripod thing there. You can fold it out for a little mini tripod. I've been using that the whole time, but it's all becoming loose or something, and I think that's what was causing the clicking over the last few videos. Every now and then you'll hear this click, 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 click. So I had this whole kit that I bought a while back when I bought the camera, separate kit off of eBay with all the little accessories. So I put this other handle on here, and it's a real long telescoping type thing. So I'm going to extend it out all the way here a little bit and stick it out the window. But last time I done that, it got horrible wind noise. So I'll probably put some music over top of it, or turn off the volume or something. Anyway, I'm going to extend it all the way out. It's got a little handle thing you put around your wrist in case the camera flies out of your hand. And I'm going to extend it out all the way and kind of go forwards and backwards, and you'll probably see the roof of the car, and I just want to see what it's going to look like. Okay, so I'll be back with that. Well, guys, I guess it didn't run out of gas. Something else must be wrong with it. It only took 7.5 gallons, and I'd put at least 4 in there before I left. So that's 11.5 gallons. So I know the gas tank's full size. It should hold at least 20, 22, who knows, or even 18. So what happened the other day, I don't know. It was just running, idling, and all of a sudden it just died. It wouldn't start. And then the battery just kept cranking and cranking, it just wouldn't fire. And then a couple days later, once I added the 4 gallons, it started right up. So I don't know, something screwed up with it. Anyway, just in Whataburger parking lot, getting some breakfast. guys, well, I think that'll wrap it up. It's finally out of the hundreds. It's been out of the hundreds for a little while because of the rain. A little bit of rain here and there. But temperatures supposed to be at the low 90s for the rest of the week. Pretty soon it'll be in the 80s. Be a good time to take my hot rods out. Because of course none of them have AC that works. So why don't we catch a Mustang? I don't want to scare them too much. Suck them through my carburetor and spit them out my exhaust. So anyway, subscribe if you haven't already. Like, comment, share, all that stuff. And we'll see y'all next video. We'll be back on the Nomad.